Hey guys, good morning, good morning. Real quick, I just want to come on and talk to you guys about how to put together your financial foundation or put together your financial goals for 2021, right? And one of the things that you got to focus on, what are the four things you got to focus on for this year, right? This year, your only focus should be on four things, no matter what, okay? No matter what, you focus on these four things. This year, no matter what, have a goal that I'm going to focus on four things this year. Number one, make money. Number two, save money. Number three, protect your money. And number four, grow your money. These are the four things that you should focus on all of 2021, no matter what, right? This is the goal because your goal is to make sure that you put yourself in a position that you could walk away winning this year, right? You got to put yourself in a winning position all 2021. Focus on those four things. But now, in order for you to have a goal, right? Let me show you a simple goal that you can have. Just focus on creating a strong financial foundation. Focus on strong financial foundation. That's your goal for 2021. As a matter of fact, the quicker you can get it done, if you get it done in the first quarter of this year, right, where you could put together your financial foundation in the first quarter and then all throughout the rest of the year, just manage it and see if you're on track to hit your goal. Meaning like this. Let's say that you want to create a financial foundation, right? You got to have a goal and say, you know what? I want to make sure I have protection in place for everything, right? So we're going to talk about that. You got to have make sure that you're managing your debts, right? And eliminate them. You got to make sure that all 2021, you also got to put yourself in a position where you understand how to put together some emergency fund, right? And then the fourth thing, you got to make sure that you understand investments, right? So how do you put yourself in 2021 to position? I like to call it position yourself. You got to be positioning yourself in a way where it's strategic, and you got to know what's your intention, right? Because you got to have an intention. What is your intention? Your intention for all 2021 is to make sure that you make money, save money, grow your money, and protect your money. That should be your only intention for 2021, right? Don't worry about nothing else. Focus on that, right? Focus on that, and you will hit the goal. Because remember, your goal now is to create your financial foundation, but your intention is to do those four things. All right. So now when you look at your goal is to do what? Put protection in place against what? Premature death, health problems, disability, and many other things. Even home, auto, all those things. You got to make sure that you have the right protection in place, right? Because that's the goal. So when it comes to premature death, you got to have four things in place, guys. I've been telling you guys this. You got to make sure that you have your life insurance. You got to make sure that you have your final expense insurance. You got to make sure that you have your will and your trust. If you still don't have these four things yet done, let me tell you, you're not even protected. You didn't even start yet. You don't even have a financial foundation, right? You probably have the F in financial foundation. So you got to have your four things in place, because if you prematurely die, even if you have life insurance, yes, that money will go to your family and everything. But guess what? If you don't have a will, you don't have a trust, right? You don't have final expense, your family's still going to have to do a GoFundMe to make sure that you could bury you. You don't want to do that for all 2021, right? All 2021, you got to do wins. You got to make sure you have a strong financial foundation. So you got to make sure that you put things in place for the unexpected. Because if you still got assets like a car, a home, a bank account, your jewelry, any other possession that you want to leave behind, and you don't have a trust to protect that asset, then you're not protected, right? The will doesn't take effect until you die. A trust is a living trust. It protects you while you're alive, right? And it protects all your assets. Now, the next thing is when it comes to health problems, you got to make sure that you understand what kind of health insurance you have. Do you truly understand your health insurance? Do you understand the difference between an HMO, a PPO, right? Don't just go around and say, I have health insurance. Okay, you got to know what is your copay. You got to know what is your deductibles. You got to understand what is your network, the places that you could go into, right? Based upon if you have an HMO. If you have a PPO, it's a little bit more expensive, but you could do whatever you want. You could go to any doctor, you could go to any places, and you could pretty much choose whatever specialist. That's why you pay a lot more to get a lot more control, right? And these are things that you got to understand. Now, when it comes to disability, you got to make sure that you have things like long-term care in place. Don't become disabled to then know that you need the help, right? You got to plan. It, like I said, it's not a matter of if it will happen to you. It's a matter of when it will happen to you. And many of us don't know when because life is unexpected. So until we understand when, right? It's not a matter of if, because the if, it's a small line. It's a matter of the when, because the when is the unexpected, the unknown. And until you know, you don't know, right? So you got to make sure that you have long-term care in place, right? And even some ways you can even have them set up through your life insurance, or you can get a standalone. There's many ways to go about having these things. Now, when it comes to how about if you're a renter? Do you have renter's insurance on your house? What if that, did you know that if your house burned down right now and you're renting, right? And you don't have renter's insurance, did you know the insurance for the landlord, their insurance will cover their house? The house, the frame and everything will get rebuilt. But whatever is inside of that house will not be paid for because that's your responsibility. So do you have renter's insurance? Right? Do you have renter's insurance? You got to have renter's insurance. Now, here's another thing. Do you have property insurance? Right? Do you have the right PMI for your house? Right? Do you have the right property insurance for your house as well? Because even if you pay off, because I know a lot of people do this talk where they say, oh, if you have a certain amount of equity in the house, then you don't need PMI. All right. It's just a matter of, can you pay for if something happened to that house? Right? You got to make sure that you have property insurance. All right. And another thing, when it comes to your car, right? You got to understand your deductibles. It's important to pick and choose what deductibles you have on your car insurance, all these different things. So all these things, it's called proper protection. You got to make sure that all 2021, you're putting together a financial foundation and you put together proper protection. All right. Proper protection first. Now, when it comes down to your debt management, after you put together the protection, the next step in the goals for this year is to make sure you learn how to manage your debt. Now, managing your debt requires you to learn a few things. You got to understand the effect of consolidation and bankruptcy, which could actually hurt your credit. Because if you consolidate your debt, or some folks who do like different things, you could actually hurt your credit. You could lose literally like 50 points easily by doing the wrong consolidation. So you got to find out, what is the consolidation going to say? Is it going to say paid in full, or is it going to say settle? Because those little words can actually have an effect on your credit score, depending on which one you do. Paid in full, settled, paid off. Those words can affect your credit score. So you got to definitely pay attention to that. The next thing is, once you learn how to manage your debt, you got to understand the emergency fund. Right? All 2021, your goal is to make sure that you have at least 3 to 6 months of your emergency fund, right? You got to work hard towards that. You got to go very hard towards that, right? So that way you can make sure that you put all these things in place. So in order for you to put together your emergency fund and make sure that you have all the right things in place, guess what? You got to make sure that you understand how to budget. If you're not living on a budget, what is your budget? Right? Many of us learned how to track spending throughout our time. So we have learned how to track very good at how we spend our money. But the problem is that we need to learn not how to track spending, but we should have learned how much we could spend and save. Right? We got to learn how much we could save before we start spending. So if we never learn how to live on a budget and we never understand how to budget properly, that's why we teach people a simple budgeting formula. Right? A very simple budgeting formula. I mean, budgeting should not take you less than 5 minutes. If your budget is taking you more than 5 minutes, I hate to tell you, you're still, you're probably using some outdated concept. But it's very easy to learn on a budget. Another thing you got to understand is about investment. You got to understand investment. Why you got to understand investment, guys? Now, before you start investing your money, you got to understand two things. Two things you got to understand. I will tell you, write this down, right? Two things you got to understand before you start investing your money. Number one, you got to invest. Before you start investing money, you must understand, what is my risk tolerance? All right. What is my risk tolerance? You got to know what's your risk tolerance. You got to know, are you a conservative investor? Are you a moderate investor? Are you a moderate growth? Are you an aggressive investor? Once you know what is your risk tolerance, that will help you to determine how you want to invest your money. right? It will tell you how you want to invest your money, right? Because you want to know what kind of risk are you willing to take in order for you to grow your money, right? Because that's going to help you to know how to grow your money. But then again, you also got to know what is your tax tolerance. That's the thing that most people don't talk about. What is my tax tolerance? Right? What is my tax tolerance? Most people never tell you what is your tax tolerance because they don't want you to understand. So it's important for you to know, how do you want to be taxed? Do you want your money to be taxed now, later, or never? Yes. There's a way. There's 3 ways your money get taxed when you need it. There's only 3 ways, guys. Your money either getting taxed now, later, or never when you need the money, when they start taking distribution. So the questions that you got to develop and formulate in your head is 4 questions you got to ask someone before you start investing your money. 4 questions. Write this down. Number 1, you got to ask them, wherever you tell me to put my money, can it potentially grow to achieve my goals? Right? Can it grow to achieve my goals? Number 2 question you got to ask them, is my money safe enough there? Is my money going to be safe enough there? Meaning, like, what is my risk tolerance, right? So is my money going to be safe enough there? And number 3 question you got to ask them is, hey, what are the tax advantages? What are the tax advantages? Is my money going to be taxed now? Is it going to get taxed later? Or is it going to get taxed never when I need it? How am my money going to be taxed, right? And then the 4th thing you got to ask is, what protection does my money have? What protection does my money have, right? You got to make sure you know these things. Those are the 4 questions you got to ask. So guys, if you like what I'm telling you, if you learned something today, click the link above, book an appointment. It doesn't cost you anything. I could educate you. I could teach you more. I could help you do even your budgeting plan. I can help you put together your FIN number. Guys, it costs you nothing. There's no catch, no nothing. Everything is in the link. Click the link above. Book an appointment. We could do it over the phone. We could do it on a virtual. We could do it however you like, just not in person. All right. COVID-19. But on a serious note, we could sit down and definitely help you with that and help you to put together your game plan for this year. Come on, it's 2021, right? Let's make it happen. Let's do some big things. My name is Keon Corniff. Some of you know me as Mr. Finance. And I just want to remind you, you're one decision away from changing your future for the better. So always remember, the choice is always yours. Don't be poor. Don't pass over opportunities repeatedly. You got to make sure you put yourself in a position to be rich, right? So say, I am rich. We are rich. The question is, do you want to get richer, right? Richer, increase your knowledge, man, right? Get wealth, get wealthy, right? Knowledge is wealth. Time is money, all right? So guys, see you guys later.